Hi everyone, back today with another video. I was just making this video actually on getting enchanting and tailoring points to help build my concentration knowledge trees, which is really working for me. I'm making a lot of gold on the gold level enchants I'm making, and being able to fill more of those public orders on my tailor is really helpful. So having more concentration, a concentration build means I can make more of those at the level people are asking for. So that's working really well for me. And I came to the Dark Moon Fair to do that. I got a surprise while I was there, essentially. But we'll talk about what I started the video for, and we'll go to the surprise later. So I came here, and in the Dark Moon Fair are quests for your professions for everything, essentially, including fishing and cooking. And when you complete the quest, you get 3 knowledge points towards your specializations, essentially. It's super easy. I think the whole process, I did the enchanting, the tailoring, and the fishing quest. I think the whole process took me like 10 minutes tops. Do make sure you pick up the things you need for the tailoring quest, which is the coarse thread, the red ink, and the blue ink. You can buy it from the vendor at the beginning before you go into the Dark Moon Fair. You see me do it before I came in. Just pick up those things first, just to save you running backwards and forwards. It does make a bit of time saving just having it in advance. The enchanting one requires you to run around and pick up the little. They just sparkle on the ground. They're like discarded weapons. You just pick them up and you disenchant them, and you give it back to the dude, and they give you 3 knowledge points. And then the fishing quest wants you to go and fish for these dark moon daggerfish or whatever. I did find while doing that fishing quest, I found a way to the dark moon fish can be traded in for pets and mounts, which means if you're not a collector, if you are a collector, that's awesome. But if you're not a collector, these things are not soul bound, which means you can sell them to collectors who want the pets and mounts, which means it's a really good way to make money. So if you're interested in making gold that way, definitely go and do it. I found you can catch them just fishing, just regularly fishing. You catch one at a time. I was doing pretty well. My fishing is almost level 300, not quite. If you've watched my fishing videos, you know the trauma there. I'm not so good at that. It's not something I'm prepared to put a lot of time into, but it is getting there. But I was catching a fish every time I cast. But I did find that the shipwreck debris worked the best. Not only was I catching 3 to 4 fish for every shipwreck debris I picked up, I was getting the crate. And in the crate is the Dark Moon Firewater, and a couple of other things like you can eat the things for the achievement, which, you may or may not be interested in. I did keep them to the end to see if they sold well. They don't. So, do what you want with that. But the Dark Moon Firewater does sell for a lot. And you also get these other pots that are soulbound. They're not exactly a way to make gold. I view them more as a way to save gold. I can use these pots now in my delves and anything else that I'm doing. They're not the best pots in the world. I mean, I wouldn't take them on a heroic raid or a mythic raid or anything. But just for me running around and doing things that I enjoy, it's definitely going to help me kill those things a bit faster. So I went and I kept those essentially. I mean, some of them aren't good for me as a cloth DPS, but you get the gist. Some of them are. So I've kept those. I was lucky enough to get a rare, and I just got a piece of transmog while I was doing that. I got it right at the end there. You've probably seen that. So I just kind of ran around and did the shipwreck debris for a little bit. This video, when I recorded it, it took about 30 minutes to do the recording. I've made it faster for you guys. And during that time, I picked up a lot of firewater, I think something like 25. We'll see at the end of the video for sure. And I've picked up almost 60 or a little over 60 of the fish. And you'll see how much I made on the auction house. But this video took 30 minutes, and I spent the first 10 minutes or so doing the quests. So for 20 minutes of fishing, it made a surprising amount of gold. But really the thing that made me the most gold, and I got so lucky, I don't know what kind of proc this is. But when I handed in my fishing quest to the dude, I got a bit of a surprise. So I'm on my way there now, and I don't want to ruin the surprise before you guys can see it. I had no idea this could happen. So I handed in my fishing quest, and I got this bottle, this recipe bottle. And it just says draconic recipe in a bottle. I didn't know it was a thing. I didn't know it was there. And when I opened it, I got a recipe: plans for the heat resistant rescue ring. And when I went and listed this on the auction house, it's worth 20,000 gold. And I know it's not this expansion. It's not a recipe for this expansion. But there are people out there who want some of everything, who want to collect all of the things for their professions. And they're quite proud of that, and they should be. That's not an easy thing to do. So I have listed it on the auction house, and you see me do it at the end there. So hopefully that does sell. I'll make another video in the future showing you how much it does sell for. But yeah, that was a pretty big surprise for me, a nice surprise. So hopefully that sells. It's a nice little bonus for 20 minutes of fishing. As for the fishing, I just kind of ran around and did it until competition picked up. It's midday here, and like I said in previous videos, I have a little bit of flexibility in my schedule. So I ran around until there were other people kind of fighting me for the shipwreck debris, and then I went back to the capital and I put my stuff on the auction house. So you can see here that the heat resistant rescue ring. Oh, there's more to that sentence. The heat resistant rescue ring did list on the auction house for 20,000, which is a nice little surprise and definitely motivation for doing those Dark Moon Fair quests in the future. Let us know in the comments if you've gotten a recipe from the Dark Moon Fair. Do they have recipes from the current content? Have you ever got something like that from completing one of those quests? It would just be good to know. As for the fish, I ended up with about 103 of them, which is pretty good for 20 minutes of fishing. And I got 1,300 there, which, it's not an insane amount. But it is still gold. And if you could dedicate a lot of time to this, it's probably a good way to level your fishing, actually. It's probably a bit more profitable than other versions. This is me just checking to see if the food for the achievement lists for anything worthwhile on the auction house. I do just want to have a quick chat about the Dark Moon Firewater. You can see that they listed for 120 gold each. Now, you have to remember, like with the pets and things during events, they sell for less during the event because more people are getting them. The Dark Moon Firewater increases your gathering speed. So, and I think Dark Moon Fair happens like once a month. So if you try to stagger it, try to sell those Dark Moon Firewaters a week and a half from now, as an example, they're going to have a lot more value than if you were to sell them while people can go get them themselves. So it's just a thought. If you need the gold now, sell them. It's up to you. It's perfectly fine. I'm going to hold on to mine until a little bit in between the Dark Moon Fairs because I think they'll have more value then. They usually do. And I'll go and sell them there. So while this turned into a bit of a gold making video, the purpose was to show you how I was building up my concentration build for other gold making methods. And I just thought I'd show you here the enchant that I'm making on loop. I don't have any on the auction house now because at the moment I'm capped to like 3 a day, and my concentration is quite low at the moment. I need to upgrade my little tool to something blue or purple. So yeah, I need to work on that. That's my bad. But they are selling pretty much as soon as I list them on the auction house, which means I maybe could be listing them for a little bit higher. Yeah, which is maybe something I'll play with. But increasing those concentration builds are making me a lot of gold, making up that money that I'm spending much faster. So if you've got the time, definitely try to build up those knowledge point trees. I think you'll find it's worthwhile. That's all for today's video, and as always, remember, girls don't play WoW.